Quick update on the S400, and I've got to say that I am massively impressed with this thing. I was out again last night with it, and it's just an incredible rifle. It just does the job. It's nothing fancy about it. Single shot, really good though. The silencer is incredible on it. It's a very, very good silencer. Probably up there with the more expensive silencers you can get actually. Now, from what I can understand, these Q-Tech silencers are caliber specific, and they seem to work very, very well. So really impressed with the silencer. Very quiet at night. A slight breeze last night, and it made it really quiet. Yeah, so really impressed. Kind of wish I'd found a second-hand multi-shot one now, to be honest. And I think I've read somewhere that Rowan Engineering, I think, do a sort of conversion magazine, but I'm not entirely sure, so I need to check up on that. So I should be having a little look on the internet to find if it's possible to get if there's a way of converting it to a magazine. If anyone out there knows, please let me know via this YouTube channel. Trigger's really good. Really impressed with that. Now, at first, when I first saw these, I had my horrible doubts about having that little tiny sort of spring that looks like it's come out of the end of an old-fashioned biro on the bottom of it. But I've since discovered that spring actually, all that does, it's not actually part of the sear release mechanism. All it does, apparently, before that spring was introduced, before you cocked these rifles, the trigger would rattle around a bit. So what they did, they just put a little spring in there, just to give the trigger a bit of tension so it doesn't rattle about. So it's not actually part of the trigger release or the firing mechanism at all. It's just to stop the trigger rattling about. Because when I first saw them, I thought, my God, that looks a bit flimsy for a trigger mechanism, you know, that little tiny spring there. But that's not the case at all. That just gives it a bit of tension so it doesn't flop about. The other thing I really like about this bolt action is really positive on this. It's really good. Find it in the dark, you know, I'm shooting in total darkness. So I'm cocking it, dropping a pellet in, closing it up, ready for the next shot. And it's really good. And while we're at it, quick one on the Photon that I've got on here. This is one of the earlier Photons. And brilliant. Absolutely superb. Lad I was out last night with these, getting a 1.7 HMR in the next couple of months, and he was massively, it was actually his permission that was on, he was massively impressed with the capability of this Photon. You know, the range on it's incredible really. It did section range and the shootable range on a rabbit, you know, easily within air rifle and rimfire range, and that's without an extra light on top as well. So yeah, it's a nice bit of kit this. The only downside to it is before we went out we did a little bit of pottering around the woods while it was still the daytime after some squirrels, and it's not very good in the day. It isn't. It really isn't. This particular version is, I think, more of a specialised night hunting scope, and it ends there really. It's this first version's not very good at all in the daytime. I don't think so anyway. The picture's pretty awful. It's almost impossible to see any sort of thing through foliage and whatnot if you're used to shooting with a telescopic sight. All in all, it's definitely not suitable, I don't think anyway, for daylight hours. It may be okay on nice flat grassy fields as it's going dusky. The other thing is you get a fair bit of washout, even with the front bit shut. You get a bit of washout and a loss of clarity on a sunny day, so hedges and things just appear as a black amorphous blob, and you get some definition of the fields and the ground and whatnot. But if you look against the base of a hedge where it's really, there's a lot of shadow and a lot of sunlight, it can't cope with it. I think the newer version of this is much better. It's got a better screen, a better refresh rate, and a more sensitive sensor. So I think the newer version of these is a lot better. But certainly this one, as a day scope, it's fairly limited, which is why I've just stuck it on this rifle, and this is just a dedicated night hunting rifle for the moment. Obviously when the summer comes round and the rabbits are out again early morning, late evening, and they start to stretch on, then I will be replacing that with a telescopic sight of some description. Don't know which one yet, but I'll be putting a telescopic sight on it somewhere along the line. And from what I've seen of the accuracy of it, the way it performs so far, I have no doubt it will function beautifully. So there you go. Really, really good. Very impressed. Like I say, the only slight downside of it as a combination is the fact that the Photon really isn't up to much in the day. It's a little bit, well, it's nowhere near as good as a telescopic sight, not even a low-end cheap telescopic sight. So there you go. I think a lad that's getting the 17 HMR is thinking of getting one of these new sights from Scott Country, the ones that do the full colour high definition image in the day and the normal black and white at night. And I would imagine that the full colour high definition display will make it more of a day-night sight, but I think it's 700 quid or 699 quid Scott Country, whereas I got this for under 200 quid with the mounts off eBay. So I guess you get what you pay for. But I'm not overly bothered because fortunately I've got the Steyrs that have got really good top quality optics on them. So they're my day scope, day guns. And then this one here is my dedicated night rifle. But if you've only got one gun and you're intending to use just the one sight, then really I don't think the earlier Photons are up to the job of being a day and night scope. And I think you'd be better off spending your extra money on something a bit newer, really, to be honest. But as a purely dedicated night sight, it's great. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Watch out for more videos coming up soon. Thank you very much.